Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jonathan Quintero. Today I'm going to give you a summary of the most important topics or the most relevant topics that we learned during this first partial of the semester. So first of all, I want to begin with the characteristics of social linguistics. As you know, we were focused or we were learning about social linguistics, one of the most relevant topics in the current context. For that reason, I want to begin with one of the most interesting topics around this concept. So, what is speech community? Speech community is a term in social linguistics and linguistic anthropology that is used to describe a group of people who share the same language, characteristics, and ways of interpreting communications. In other words, a speech community is a group of people who share rules for conducting and interpreting at least one variety of a language or dialect. The study of speech community is central to the understanding of human language and meaning. Also, speech communities are groups that share values and attitudes about language use, varieties, and practices. So, however, we have a division in the society around this concept. For that reason, we move on to the next part. We have, in society, we have high prestige speakers and low prestige speakers. So we are dividing it in high prestige and low prestige variety. So in sociolinguistic, prestige describes the level of respect accorded to a language or dialect as compared to that of other language or dialects in the speech community. So prestige is closely related to that of prestige or class within a society. I mean, high prestige and low prestige are two concepts depending on the level or in the social standing that a person have in the society most of the time. For example, I am a student in who I'm a college student, so I will have or I pretend to have a high prestige speech. So that is a real example about how we can compare high prestige and low prestige. So, in the other hand, social linguistic prestige is especially visible in situations where two or more distinct languages are in use. The prestige variety, in many cases, is the standard from form of the language, though there are exceptions. When we are using words that are native from a community or from a country, those are the sections that we are not going to include in high prestige or low prestige variety because those words are native or are inherent in those parts or in those languages. So that is really important to highlight here. So here we have two interesting concepts or two important concepts around how prestige and low prestige variety. First of all, we have causes. So rich literacy, heritage, high degree of languages modernization, considerable international standings or the prestige of its speakers. Also, we have diglossia. Diglossia is a situation in which two distinct varieties of a language are spoken within the same speech community. So this language is going to use with two different groups, with two different groups of people who have different rules or values, maybe. Okay, now let's be focused on this part. Social network. Social network is one of the most used concept in the current context because that is um, modernization or how we communicate now. Or actually, we have that a social network is a really useful part of communication. So social network describes the structure of a particular speech community. Also, linguistic variation in these communities could be explained of the basic difference in speakers' social network structures. I mean, a social network is maybe a website or a computer program that allows people to communicate and share information on the internet using a computer or maybe a mobile phone. Um, in the other hand, a social network is an abstract mechanism that denotes the social relationship and individual contrast with other individuals in a society. These patterns then construct different type of network structures which can reveal an individual's integration into a network. This concept of social network is really useful for us in the current context. As you know, we have a terrible pandemic, so these social networks are have been really useful to communicate and to share information and to continue with our life during this difficult time. Okay, now let's be focused in contact linguistic. Now I'm going to explain the three important aspects around these topics. First of all, I'm going to be focusing the definition. After that, I'm going to tell you what are the most important language conflicts in contact linguistic or linguistic contact. And finally, I'm going to be focusing linguistic borrowing and imposition. Okay, what is language contact or contact linguistic? Language contact is the social and linguistic phenomenon by which speakers of different languages interact with one another, leading to a transfer of linguistic features. But we have um, two two important language conflicts. The first one, language contact and grammatical change. As you know, grammar and language are changing over and over the time. So that is a big conflict here because you have to, or most people are not focused or are not being focused in grammatical changes because they are just understanding each language as they know. So I mean that grammatical changes are one of the most important parts in a language because those are the basis on which a language is built. So that is really important here. Finally, I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to explain about linguistic borrowing and imposition. But what is borrowing? In linguistics, borrowing is the process by which a word from one language is adapted for use in another language. For example, as you know, there are many words in English that are really useful in Spanish. For example, we have okay, maybe, or we have friends. Those are words that we are using most of the time in English. So we have to take into consideration most of those words. Also, we have words like imposition that we can relate it easily to the Spanish because in Spanish the word is pretty similar. Imposition, imposición, composition, composition. Those are words that can allow to this concept, borrowing. Finally, we have imposition. So imposition is a linguistic imperialism. Uh, so here, linguistic imperialism is the imposition of one language on speakers of another language. It is also known as linguistic nationalism, linguistic dominance, and linguistic imperialism. So imposition is now like a part of linguistic contact in which you are going to denotate the most important words of a specific language, the words that makes your language a little bit worth. So that is how I can tell you how imposition works in contact linguistics. So thank you so much. I hope I do it really well. And that's all. Thank you.